This man has been nothing but corrupt since the moment he came into office. And he's going to walk off with millions. This is why he trolls the way he does and says the most egregious, ridiculous, nonsensical things the way that he does without any care in the world. Why? Because he knows essentially he will never be held accountable. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to head on over back to the People's Republic of Chicago because we have to take a moment to speak on Emperor Brandon Johnson once again. This time he is finding himself in some more hot water, as he always is in some sort of hot water. And you see this article here reads, Inspector General report details hidden City Hall gift room, accuses mayor of improper reporting. Brandon Johnson appears to be receiving gifts and not reporting on the gifts that he is receiving. And this seems eerily similar to what Eric Adams has been accused of concerning taking on gifts as bribes. I believe it was from the Turkish government. Now, we all know that the Fed case that he was hit with by Biden's DOJ, and it was clearly because of retaliation, because of Eric Adams speaking out against the Biden administration for creating the migrant crisis, right? When it comes to what Eric Adams was accused of, it appears that Brandon Johnson may actually be that guy, because we all know the Eric Adams case is completely bogus, and that was further established with him on the Tucker Carlson interview that he did, which was a really good interview, and I strongly suggest that you guys watch it. But not to get off track, let's focus here on Brandon Johnson. Let's stay with Brandon Johnson, and what I want to do right now is that I want to hop into this video very quickly so that we can get some more information on what's actually going on.
A new watchdog report revealing Mayor Johnson has gotten some expensive gifts while in office.
But investigators say they had to go undercover to find out what they were. Political reporter Paris Schutz joins us with more on this developing story. Paris?
Yeah, Sylvia and Terrence, some of these items include an expensive bottle of whiskey, Hugo Boss cufflinks, Gucci, Givenchy, and Kate Spade bags, and nice size 14 shoes. Now, according to the city's ethics code, the mayor is supposed to keep a log of all the gifts he receives while in office, but it took investigators multiple attempts to finally get to the mayor's office to reveal there was a database of gifts, which they say are stored in a City Hall gift room and in the mayor's personal fifth-floor office. Now, Inspector General Deborah Witzberg, who led this investigation, say that her investigators subsequently showed up asking to see this gift room, and they were turned away.
The mayor's office response says that they will allow access in what they call a properly scheduled appointment. That is not what the law says, and that is not an effective accountability measure.
Translation: when he has an opportunity to hide some of the evidence, maybe liquidate some of it, cash it out, put it in his bank account, things of that nature, pass it around, launder it, things like that. But my apologies for interrupting. Let's let her carry on.
The city has for decades given people every reason to assume the worst when things happen in the dark.
Now, Witzberg recommends that the mayor's office comply with the city ethics code regarding gifts by keeping a logbook and making it publicly accessible to reporters and everyone else. Now, the mayor's office responded that investigators can see this gift room, but they just have to make an appointment. Johnson responded to questions about the report today, saying that this IG report has mischaracterized the issue.
It's a mischaracterization of what's being reported. These are gifts to the city. They're logged. I'll make sure that our Office of Communications gets back with you so that you can, and anyone else who wants to access, these gifts that are made to the city, some instances, T-shirts and things that occur at different events. But again, the characterization of how this report came out is misguided.
How are what did they say? Gucci belts and size 14 shoes, probably Stacey Adams or something like that, and bottles of whiskey, gifts to the city. How are they gifts to the city? You see, now there's a reason why, and Brandon Johnson is proving that right now. And I'll pull this up on the screen for you in just a moment. But there's a reason why, year after year after year after year after year, Chicago is rated the most corrupt city in the nation. I mean, look at this here. Three-peat, Chicago ranks #1 in corruption report finds, May 11th, 2022. But wait, it gets better because they didn't just three-peat, they four-peated. Four-peat, Chicago ranks #1 in corruption report finds, November 3rd, 2023. And I think it's possibly more than safe to say that Chicago, under the rule of Emperor Brandon Johnson, is going to five-peat and taking on gifts and campaign contributions that he isn't supposed to take on. This is just something that Brandon Johnson does and gets found. Let me rephrase properly. I was going to say and gets found guilty of, but is accused of, just to be safe, over and over again. Now, if you've been subscribed to this channel for any length of period of time, you've seen that I've covered this kind of stuff before from Brandon Johnson. How many of you all remember this article here? Brandon Johnson wasn't supposed to take campaign money from city contractors, but he did. And many of you are familiar with the $3 to $5 million pension that Brandon Johnson will be receiving that I always make reference to. I covered that not too long ago as well, which is why you should be subscribed to this channel, because I stay on top of this stuff with Brandon Johnson. Well, here's the article here, or I should say the report that I'm always referring to, right? Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's eventual pension payout could exceed $5 million. I repeat, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's eventual pension payout could exceed $5 million. I call him the Emperor of Chicago for a reason. This man does whatever he wants and runs this city without any fear of accountability at all whatsoever. And this is why he constantly trolls the way that he does, because he knows that he is going to make out like a bandit once his time as mayor is over. Now, when he was asked about these gifts, we heard a little bit of it in the news clip, but let's get back to the trolling. Listen to this right here and what Brandon Johnson had to say concerning the report of these gifts that he has been given.
But here's what I'm getting at. This oversight committee, of all the things that they want to have sight over, they should look at the White House right now. That White House is being ran in one of the most raggedy forms of government that I've ever seen. If anybody is questioning whether or not what our country would look like had the Confederacy won, there should be no question now.
Lord have mercy.
They want us to be afraid.
How many times is he going to do this? And I'm going to let it play some more. Remember, he made this same type of false comparison between what would it look like if the Confederates won. Well, we're seeing it now. It's the Trump administration, apparently. It's the Trump administration removing, excuse me, illegal criminal aliens who are public safety threats. That's how it would look, apparently, if the Confederate won, right? But let's carry on because it gets even more ridiculous.
Do not be afraid, Chicago. Whether it's an invitation or a subpoena, I'm always going to stand up for the interests of working people. And I will not be intimidated by some weak individual who won't stand up to an individual who believes he's a supreme being right now. You're worried about Chicago? Look in your front yard. We have a president right now who is obfuscating his responsibilities that should be very clear based upon the Constitution. He is rejecting the Constitution of the United States of America. And if they want to have a real discussion about undocumented individuals who are criminals, they should look at the very individuals who enslaved my people and colonized this land. So whether it's an invitation or a subpoena, the people of Chicago.
I don't want to hear anything else that he's saying. I can't listen anymore. I can't listen anymore. Brandon Johnson makes black folks look like clowns. He makes us look like clowns. Every time you flippantly make these false comparisons between illegal immigration and slavery and Jim Crow and the Civil War and the Confederates, you turn Black American history into a clown show. It's turned into a joke, and it's cheapened, and it's just untrue. It's just a lie. You're talking goofy and you're talking stupid. But once again, you have to remember this is a man who's going to walk away with a pension that ranges between $3 to $5 million, in which he's going to be able to enjoy an early retirement, sitting on top of millions through exploiting loopholes in the city of Chicago. This man has been nothing but corrupt since the moment he came into office. And he's going to walk off with millions. This is why he trolls the way he does and says the most egregious, ridiculous, nonsensical things the way that he does without any care in the world. Why? Because he knows essentially he will never be held accountable, or at least he thinks he won't be held accountable, but that's yet to be seen. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And once again, most importantly, please make sure you're following me on Telegram at CD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.